All right. People are filtering in. Hello, everyone. My name is Morgan, and I'm an event manager with Politics and Prose, and I'd like to welcome you all to PNP Live. Soon, I will drop a link in the chat for where you can order your copy of Didn't We Almost Have It All? In Defense of Whitney Houston, straight from PNP's website. Publishers Weekly has given the book a starred review, and they've also said, in this stirring work, journalist Kennedy reexamines all that Whitney was and all that she was never able to be. The author both celebrates the legendary singer's inimitable talent and offers a rousing critique of oppressive systems still at work today. This is a must read for fans. You can ask our speakers a question by clicking on the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. And we'll try to get to as many of those as we can toward the end of the event, but we apologize in advance if we don't have time to address your question. Also, there are auto captions for this event by hitting the live caption button at the bottom of your screen. Let's introduce tonight's guests. Gerrick Kennedy is an award-winning journalist, cultural critic, and author based in Los Angeles. Kennedy is the author of Parental Discretion Is Advised, The Rise of N.W.A. and the Dawn of Gangsta Rap. His writing has appeared in GQ, Wall Street Journal, NPR, Spin, Playboy, Teen Vogue, Shondaland, Cultured Magazine, Men's Health, and the Los Angeles Times.
Yes.
Kennedy will be in conversation with Brandy Norwood, a multi-platinum Grammy-winning singer, songwriter, producer, and actress. Born into a musical family, the Mississippi-bred daughter of Willie and Sonja Norwood emerges as a teenage sensation in the 90s with her 3 times platinum self-titled debut album, a hit sitcom, Moesha, and as the star of Disney's television adaptation of Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella, alongside her idol, Whitney Houston, and a multicultural cast of icons that attracted over 60 million viewers. She has sold more than 40 million albums worldwide and is ranked as one of the best-selling female artists in American music history by the RIAA, having sold more than 11 million albums in the United States. Last fall, Brandy made a return to television with a starring role on ABC's hip-hop musical drama, Queens, and is currently working on her 8th album. Please give our guests a virtual round of applause.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. I mean,
Yay.
this is unreal. I think, for anybody who has ever spent a moment with me or follow me online, they know how much you mean to me and how much I think you mean to the world. But
Thank you.
to be here and to have
Yes.
you share this with me is, I mean, it's just the stuff of dreams. I think about, that 5, 6-year-old boy who saw you on Thea and then began to follow the entirety of your career. But, more than that, I was able to spend the last 12 years writing about you. My first interview was 12 years ago at the LA Times, and it just, you think of the whirlwind, that we have obviously both went on. But outside of that, I also got to know you as a person, and that is really
Yes.
special because that is something I would have never thought. But the place I want to start with you first, before we get into this book and this beautiful foreword that you were so absolutely gracious to do, we have to talk about last Sunday and you walking out and doing the anthem and you wearing the sharpest fit that absolutely gave a nod to what Whitney did with the anthem so long ago. But the question that I actually had for you is, when we saw Whitney perform, the Star Spangled Banner, she had the burden, of course, that all Black people have of singing that song. And she obviously stood and delivered upon that moment. But everybody else that's followed has the burden of sing the song that this woman has sang in a particular
Right.
kind of way that changed how we think of this song.
Yes.
But obviously with you, it's something different because everybody knows this relationship that the two of you had. Everybody knows what she meant to you. Everyone knows the influence. So can you actually tell us a little bit about the decisions you made in terms of a vocalist of how you were going to approach the anthem? Because you knew people were going to be saying, well, you know, here it is. It's not Whitney, it's not Whitney, it's not Whitney. So tell us the decision around how you sang that song and also how you found that outfit, by the way.
Well, first of all, the decision was very hard to make because of the moment being so huge, the NFC, the Rams, this is my city. So it was just very, very difficult to make the decision to say yes, because I was nervous. I hadn't sang the national anthem in such a long time. So I knew this was a moment that I was going to have to really be courageous and seize, and my whole family was there. So, um, when it came to the outfit, it was not my idea at all. It was actually my stylist, Ashley Sean
Mm,
Thomas. He thought that, it would comfort me, it would give me a little bit of luck to
yeah.
to pay homage to Whitney. And I always find a way to keep her with me, because I believe in my heart that she's one of my archangels. I think that she's always with me. So I can't even believe he found that outfit. And I didn't even know people were going to really understand that that was my way to take her with me on the field. And that it happened, and
Yeah.
people got it. And the pictures started to they started to put the pictures together, and it was like, whoa, they really got it. And for me as a vocalist, I just did what she always tells me, is just sing from my heart, just come from the soul. And that's what I did. And it helped that my family was there, and it was great.
Yeah.
I'm still not over it.
Oh my
Still,
God.
still,
It
still a
was
little bit.
insane to see. It was beautiful. I mean, I
Yeah.
texted you right after where it was just like, it was simply divine. I didn't
Thank
know another
you.
word to describe of it. It felt like you, somebody was working through you. You know what I mean?
Thank
And
you.
we see that with, with our singers that we really obviously appreciate and we admire, but there was something about that where it was just like, this is an iconic moment for you. I know people are going to attach a lot of things because of the outfit, because of the song itself, and who else is saying it
Yes.
for you. But just
And
even
in
as
no
a
way.
vocalist, yeah.
Mhm. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't
No,
mean
I'm
to cut
saying
you off.
even as a vocalist, I think for you, it's going to be one of the performances that people are going to remember you for.
That's so sweet, because I didn't honestly, I just wanted to make my family proud. I wanted everyone to feel proud. And we've been through so much over the last few years. I just wanted, that moment to be special and magical for everybody. And I'm just glad that it turned out to be that way. And I definitely feel like Nippy was with me the whole time.
Yeah. You
Don't
know,
get me to crying
oh
early.
my
Cry early. We just got
God. We just
started.
got started. One of the things that I have always known about you is obviously you get a lot of requests to talk about Whitney. You don't always do it. And I really did want to ask you. I've never got a chance to ask you. I've been asked a million times why I wanted to do this book, but I never got a chance to ask you why you said yes, because you could have easily said, you know what, G, I love you to death, but I just am gonna pass. And I'd rather not, but good luck to you. But you didn't. You said yes. And you did it, and you were so generous with what you shared. So tell me why you actually said yes.
Well, I said yes to you because I feel like I know your intentions. And I also feel like Whitney touched you in a way that completely changed your life. And I feel like you watched a lot of the things that she experienced. And I knew that you were going to, write about her light. And even though she had gone through so many, different times in her life, different dark times in her life, I knew that you would find a way to bring it all together and help people to understand that she was angelic, and she touched so many people no matter what she had gone through. And I knew that you would hold her in the highest light. And I wanted to be a part of that. And because I know that you've always helped me in the same kind of light, and I just trusted that you would do the same. And I just wanted to be with you on it.
Oh my gosh.
That's all. I get very weird when I talk about
Yeah.
Whitney. So forgive me if I'm not as articulate or I'm not as my normal self. It's just what happens when I
It's
speak about
yeah,
her all the
yeah.
time. Every time I speak of her.
I
Yeah.
want to I want to read this moment from you in the foreword, because I want
Okay.
to set the tone here for people to really one, also understand why I thought it should be you, why I deeply wanted it to be you, but also to kind of make this full circle connection, so that people could really understand the depths of your love of Whitney, but also the way that she inspired you. I was a
Yes.
young Black girl growing up in the South when Whitney took over the world. She was an effortless singer, and it inspired me to see someone with a voice as powerful as hers. She had every range you can imagine. Her falsetto was as strong as her head voice, and she could do all of these amazing things with her tone. Whitney made me feel like anything was possible, even though everything she was doing had been so impossible for Black girls to achieve. Oh my goodness, those words really, really put such a battery in me to think of this other part of what I was holding, which was, the influence that has been cross generational from her, that I think is so
Yes.
extraordinary. But I really do. I just want you to kind of go back and tell us about young Brandy discovering Whitney and what that was like, and also what it was like for you to see this happening to someone who looked like you, because I think that gets us
Oh,
out of here too. Yeah.
oh my God, I remember the greatest love of all, the video was playing and it was just on television and I had never heard a voice like that in my life. And I ran and I'm like, who is this? And when I see her, she just looks like, first of all, she looks beautiful and
Beautiful.
she looks angelic and she's this beautiful Black woman that just makes me feel like that's what I should do. If I'm going to sing, if I'm going to do anything, that's how I want to do it. I want to do that.
Yeah.
How can I do that? And she inspired me. The song spoke to me. And I knew I didn't have a voice like Whitney's, not even near it, anything. But I knew that whatever God had blessed me with, I wanted to make someone else feel the way she made me feel when I first saw her.
Mm,
And which was powerful, and that anything is possible if I just do what she's doing, which is
yeah.
continue to sing and work hard and everything from the soul. And
Mm.
that's what I got from her at a very young age.
Was Greatest Love of All, was that the record where you were like, that's it, that's
That's the
exactly
record.
what I
That
want
was
to
the
I want to exactly do
that
that.
was that was the record, and then with the video with her mom and the wings and all of it, it was my dream too. It was my dream too. I just had never seen it outside of my own imagination. She was the one that I saw that was like, okay, this is possible. This can actually happen because I see someone that looks just like me doing
Yeah. You write about
it.
um you write about going to see her in concert for the first time,
Yeah.
and what that was like, but most specifically trying to weasel your way backstage to meet her. I can you share that with us for people who don't
Yes.
know this moment?
Yes, I had done a few talent shows, and I had was like locally known in the neighborhood. So I had met Ricky Minor, who was her musical director at the time. So I just felt like if I could just get to Ricky Minor, I know I could get to Whitney. But I was in the nosebleed section, like all the way at the top where you could
At the
barely
top,
see
top,
Whitney.
top,
She
at
looked
the
like she
top,
looked like a
like a
speck.
little ant,
Oh yeah, like a little ant. So I'm like, I put that charm on. I'm telling every, usher at every, section, every section to get closer to the stage. I'm gonna be, famous one day. I'm gonna be a singer too. I'll take care of all your, family's bills. I promise. I'm gonna, be. I'm just trying to get my way down. So I work my way down, and by the time I get backstage, I see Ricky Minor, but he told me that Whitney had left. Now, mind you, the entire concert. I'm trying to get to her. So I've missed the concert. I can still hear her singing, but I missed the entire concert to get to her, and then to get back there and to know that she had already left, it crushed me. I was crushed. I was this close to meeting her. And I remember waiting for my dad with my mom in the rain, and that night she said, you know what, you're going to see Whitney at the top. You'll meet her at the top. And I was like, okay, thanks, Mom. Oh, at the top. Okay.
It's such a powerful manifestation, you know, but also just the hubris of a mom, right? But you know, when you told me the story, it made me think back to, like, you know, my first concert was you, the Never Say Never tour. And I actually, you know, I had no idea what a concert was. I thought we were gonna all be in one place listening to the album, which I had been like carrying out.
That's what you thought a concert was?
I had no clue that you were going to descend from the sky in a pink jumpsuit and be right there. And I don't even understand how I made it out of that alive, because, you know, again, this was 1998, 99. But, you know, if you can't probably have no recollection of that night, but there was a young man screaming his head off the entire time, and everybody around me that was like, she can hear you, chill. And I'm like, she's right there. But just thinking of, you know, what that must feel like when you are that close, right? And that close to just the person who inspires you means so much. And that, again, it just feels like a wild memory to think about.
And so far away.
And so far away.
And so far away. Yeah. Because I was back on a mission to meeting her. Like, back on the mission to, you know, maybe, you know, I want to get a record deal and I want to do this just so I can meet Whitney.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about, you know, your music education growing up? You know, I think folks who are fans of yours and who has followed you, you know, they sort of know, you know, your history and the impact of your father.
Oh my God!
I'm not sure if everyone knows that, and how closely that mirrors sort of just that great tradition of gospel and soul singing that is often passed down. We watched this with, you know, with Sissy and with Whitney, but obviously, you know, you had this education coming from your dad. Can you speak on that a little bit?
Yes, my father is like, he is my everything in terms of everything vocals. I mean, I grew up in an a cappella church, and he was the minister of music. So I was able to learn so much just firsthand, raw a cappella harmonies, learning how to blend, learning how to harmonize. And, you know, he even trusted me as I got older with, you know, having my own choirs and helping me to arrange my own songs, my own gospel songs. And then he also introduced me to so many different other gospel singers and other kinds of music, so I can have a variety of different artists that I looked up to and that I was influenced by, so I can have a wide range of vocals to choose from, and how I wanted to, you know, create my own style. And I owe my dad so much for teaching me all of that and being open-minded to, you know, hearing so many different artists. But Whitney was the number one artist for me. Yes.
Can I tell you my favorite Willie Norwood Sr. fun fact?
Yes.
Is him contributing to Velvet Rope, Janet's incredible album, and him leading the choir on, I think it's Special at the end of the record. It's one of my favorite things.
He sure did.
He sure did. And I just think, like, of how cool, you know, those sorts of things are, because it's a reminder of how connected we all are in small ways, right? Especially when it's the church. Am I losing you on the sound? There you are. I heard you. Can you hear me?
Oh, now I can.
Okay. All right. You know, y'all got to be patient with us. You know, it's technology. We've been in the house for a couple of years.
We good.
It's COVID, baby. You know.
But look how it just came back in.
Came right on back. All right.
We didn't miss a beat.
But no, I just think there was something so beautiful about that sort of family lineage, right? Because that's so
Yeah.
obviously we see that, you know, with you and your brother and now your daughter, my God.
Yes, my
But
daughter.
just how important that is, but also how that is so rooted, right? And how we connect to music and how we connect,
Yes.
especially when it is, you know, music through gospel music, through soul, and these things that are such great traditions in Black households. Growing up in the
hmm
South, I grew up
It
in the
makes you
Midwest.
appreciate it more too.
Mhm.
It really does. When soul is involved in music, it just really makes you appreciate it so much more. I'm so glad I started in gospel.
Yeah.
I'm so
I
glad.
we have to go right back to this quote from your
Okay.
mom. There's a moment when you didn't meet her, and you're gonna see Whitney at the top. That's where you're gonna meet her, and I just think of the way in which, you know, obviously a parent is trying to soothe their child, but also the belief of a parent that wants to
Yes.
manifest this greatness, and also kind of telling you if you work for it, it will happen.
Yes.
And then of course it happens, right? We see you and we see Whitney and we watch this moment, you know, Entertainment Tonight, we watch this moment of you meeting her at the Kids Choice Awards. But
hmm
just tell us what that moment actually really felt like truly, you know, now that you've had all these years to really think about it and reflect on it.
Um, okay, so that's the day the day I met Whitney is the day I
Mhm,
knew I was gonna meet her. I just knew it. So
mhm,
my heart all day was just, I was so excited. I was just like, this is like the biggest dream ever. I don't know what I'm gonna say. I don't know how I'm gonna act. What is she?
mhm.
Do I smell good? Like I'm thinking, what is she gonna smell like? Like what is it gonna be like? Because I just and I was waiting. I didn't care how long it took. I didn't care what. I was gonna wait there until I saw her. And when I saw her, when I put my eyes on her, it, I couldn't process that she was actually there, to the point where I took off. It just was it was unbelievable. And I was in a state of shock for weeks,
Yeah.
for weeks, for weeks. I kept reliving it. Hey, baby girl, just reliving it. Just unbelievable.
Yeah. You know the
Because
moment
it was one of those feelings that I thought it was never gonna happen.
never happened.
But it happened the exact way my mom said it.
Yeah.
Like that year was I can't I, my album was out that year, and she was hosting the Teen Choice, and I was there to perform as a singer. But
Mm.
I'm really there just Whitney's number one fan that just happens to be able to sing.
It just happens
That's
to
how I looked.
be
That's
right.
how I looked at it. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm the number one fan here. I just happen to be able to sing a few songs. That's how I looked at it. Like I'm here to meet Whitney. This is why I am here.
You
Love your
know,
Teen Choice though.
we were when we were talking the other day about the anthem, of course, and just the feeling of that. You know, a thing I wanted to share at that time, but I was like, I'm gonna wait until I see her so I can just like have this moment of reflection, because I wanted to see you as I said it. But it goes back to that moment of your mom saying that, because you were standing outside of the Forum crying, it's raining, you know,
Crying,
the
yes.
disappointment of that. And here we are, you know, all these years later, you are standing on the turf at a stadium down the street from the Forum in a fit, paying homage to this woman. And just that particular image blew me away. And that's why I have never probably felt prouder of you, just as someone who I know obviously what this woman means to you, but also how much you being able to thrive in an industry that is not always kind to Black women at all, especially Black
Thank
women that
you.
we met young and we haven't always been patient with as they grow. But there was something about that that I just thought, God, this to me is actually iconic. I know we overuse that
Thank
word a
you
lot,
so much.
but to think of that full circle of this young girl and obviously this moment of, LA, because even though you're from the South, LA has been your home for a long time.
Hmm.
Just to come back around and obviously the spirit of what that song does symbolize, right? But
Hmm.
really that image, it was seared in my mind of like, God, there are so many examples of wildest dreams come true. I mean, look at us right now. I mean, I'm speaking to somebody who I have adored my entire life, and we share a book together. But also this moment of you, there all these years back and all that you've gone through as an artist, as a woman, as a mother, everything, and just to have that, and then also to see the love that you received from the world. I
I
mean,
know.
this is so special.
It really
So
was
special.
special. And I promise you, I wasn't trying to compare myself in any way. No one can compare to Whitney Houston at all. I just thought that, just paying homage to her was my way of just taking a piece of her out there with me so I can actually feel like I can do something purposeful for her, for my
Yeah.
family, for our city, just just to be a conqueror just in general. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
And I
of
did it for you too, G.
you did it for me too.
Of
I figured, all
course, of course.
right.
Because all the love you gave after, I was like, he's so happy. It was just perfect
I was
timing just
bleeding.
for all the beautiful work you've done on Whitney, and
Oh my
just this
goodness.
is to you too. So it's all divine timing.
All divine timing.
Yeah.
You know, obviously the biggest part, one of the biggest parts of your story with Whitney is Cinderella, and us getting to see you be the first Black Disney princess, and just all of what that entailed, and just even thinking of how groundbreaking that was then, how it still is and remains now. And we have asked every question that there ever is. We all still wait on that soundtrack to get dropped. Atlantic
I
release it. Stop playing with us.
know.
But you know what I actually wanted to ask you about is the clip of the two of you in the studio doing Impossible. Of course, it has become one of these memes that you share, and it's
Why are you down
possible, and it
there?
just is. But it's the why are you down
Down
there?
there.
Can you explain to folks who are not singers, who don't understand what this means, like what she was meaning by when
Which
she was telling you
why
that?
was okay? So I was trying to tell her what, and who am I to tell her what I think she should do? But I wanted her to hit the note that I was hitting down low, up high, but I couldn't hit it that high. I don't have your range, Nippy. So I'm giving you the note low so you can hit it high. So she's like, "Why are you down there?" Because I can't hit it up there. That's why. So she finally got it. So when she goes, I'm like, please do that. That's what I want you to do, like up there. So
Up
that's
there,
what she meant. Yeah, up there.
sky
So
high.
I'm
You
on.
know how she like to be, sky high. All these
Yes,
records.
yes,
Um, you
yes.
know, a thing that was, one of my favorite chapters to write about, and I remember, talking to you about this, and it had even sort of slipped your mind, which I understand
Hmm.
because you were in it. But writing about 1998, and specifically, what was happening with R&B, you the work you did on Never Say Never, we have gone, down many rabbit holes, culturally, about how that really changed the game, how it really shifted the tone of what R&B
Hmm.
sounded like, and it's really specifically it's your work with, the great LaShawn Daniels, may he
Hmm.
rest, and obviously Dark Child and Fred Jerkins III.
Hmm.
But what I wanted to ask you is, you know, you innovated that sound, that moment, it became so special, and Whitney heard it, right? And
I
then we also, and then we heard what she did with My Love Is Your Love, and she was like, we're gonna do that, we're gonna
know.
pull that in,
Hmm.
we're gonna bring that in. I just wanted to know what that was like for you to then hear her, singing, with these producers that she picked because she loved, what you had did. She loved Boy's Mind. She loved Never Say Never. She loved those records, and she wanted,
Oh,
to also get, have some of that also, and just like what that must have been like.
no one has ever asked me that, and I'm so glad that you did, because I loved that she felt inspired by the work that I was able to do with Rodney, and she really liked the work. And I just remember her. I remember telling her, you're gonna have the same kind of chemistry. Like, he loves you too. He's gonna give you like fire. Like, so to see her like really create her own flavor with like Rodney, and to work with LaShawn, and then have her like, she was completely a different artist. And I love that she was like just exploring like how different she could be, and how she didn't have to stick to one thing. She could do, but she had been doing that. Whitney's done pop, gospel, R&B. She did it all. But like, to
Oh,
really see her go and dig, deep into another kind of area, it was great to see her do that
yeah,
with Wyclef, and with Rodney, and with LaShawn
yeah,
and Fred. Yeah.
yeah. I'm gonna read. I did. I just had to have, I had to have my little R&B
Uh-huh.
moment and I wrote a whole chapter on it. It's my favorite in the book.
I love it.
I want to read another segment because then this sort of helps us wind down before we take some questions from the audience.
Mm-hmm.
And some things that I actually really been, itching to ask you. But
Okay.
you wrote, her voice had the power to sit you still. The magic in her voice could help you get through whatever you were going through. Whitney's voice could bring you closer to God. There was so much love and joy in her voice. Listening to her voice has gotten people through heartbreak and anguish. Her music has been there for our darkest moments and our brightest days. There was such beauty and grace in her voice. And
Yes.
Whitney could take you so many places with just her voice.
Yes.
So let me kind of ask you some rapid fire moments, right? To end these
Oh,
questions.
rapid fire.
What's your favorite gospel song Whitney sang?
I love the Lord.
Oh my, okay, okay. What's the Whitney song you play when you want to dance? When you're trying to get ready to go, go out, whatever.
Oh, I wanna dance with somebody. Come on. I wanna dance with somebody. Yeah. Sorry.
What's the Whitney song you play when you're feeling down?
Shoot.
Ooh,
Yeah.
good choice. I never thought about
Shoot.
that as a
Yeah.
moment.
Shoot is one of them ones where it's
Yeah.
like, it'll put you
What's
in the mood.
what's the Whitney song that reminds you most of your first crush and the one that reminds you of your first heartbreak?
Um, the heartbreak one, I don't know. But
Ah,
How Will I Know? That
ooh.
was like, that was my jam.
Mm,
And I
mm.
was always in question.
Always,
In question, like, are you really feeling me like that?
and
How will I?
on
No.
the nerdy musical side, like, what's your favorite Whitney run? Because I mean, we know with the runs how you are, but
Oh, the
what's
runs.
yours of Whitney though?
Ah, 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 ah. I had to do it like 5 times to make sure I hit it on one of them ones, in case somebody was trying to hate. I had to hit 5 good straight times in case one of them was. I hit it once. One of them times I hit it clean, right?
Right,
Honest.
right,
Okay.
right. You hit it clean. You hit it clean.
I hit it clean.
And what about this? What about this? What's the Whitney song you sing the most?
In my head, I will always love you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
I will
like that you
always love
say.
you.
I like that you say in your head because I think you like
In
most
my
of us,
head.
where it's like we ain't trying to hear nobody have us sing that out loud
Ever. Not out
nowhere,
loud.
never,
I'll
not
sing the acapella
today.
part out loud. But when it comes to the other ones, everything is in the imagination.
So I do want to get as many of these questions in because there are so many people tuning in and watching us. This is
I'm
just
so
unreal. It's
glad.
unreal. So let's get some of these questions in.
Yeah, there are a lot of
There's a
Lovely
lot.
Brandy's in
I can see
the
them in a
chat.
little
You're
bottom.
beautiful. Someone said you are our Whitney Houston.
Oh
That's
my
so
goodness.
sweet.
Wow.
Yes.
Mm,
So let me start off with
mm.
this one from Nicole Allen. It says, Gerrick, congratulations on this wonderful book. I
Yes.
can't wait to read it. Could you talk a bit
Thank
about
you.
your writing process? How did you get into the zone? And did you always know you wanted to write about Whitney?
Yes.
Well, I mean, how I got into the zone for this, unfortunately we had a pandemic, so we were in the house and not going nowhere. I mean, outside of me taking a couple little drives around and just seeing the outside space, I was in my office writing every day for the most part. Um,
Hold the book up. Hold the book up.
you know what I'm saying.
Okay. Thank
but
you.
uh, but this book in particular had been on my mind 3 or 4 years before I decided to do it. Part of why I decided to do it because I had my own grief around Whitney. One thing that Brandy and I didn't talk about was one of the times that I interviewed her was the weekend that we lost Whitney, and so I had this really intense grief because it was somebody that I had obviously loved and cared about, and then they were a hero, and then I just met them, on this day that was like, it's Brandy, it's Monica, it's Clive. These are people who I have obviously, cared about for so long, and so I wanted to be able to get away from the feeling around that, and I had to do my
Mhm.
own healing around that particular moment because I was a young reporter and I had never cover any of this, and then it was really challenging for me to move forward, and not just think of that weekend when it was her. And that's just kind of how grief works, and I think sometimes people don't understand that we as writers, before we're writers, we are fans of these people, we appreciate
Mhm.
these people, we respect these people, we admire these people, even when we're critical of them. So this was
Mhm.
a book that I had wanted to do for a long time, but I also wanted there to be something different on Whitney. Every book you read is really only about her tragedies, really only
Yeah.
about the gossip, and I understand that it's hard for people to move past that, but I thought it's time for us to move past it in a particular
It,
kind of way, because the truth of the matter is we played a role in it. We all did in this way, even if we don't want to admit it, even if we don't want to acknowledge it. The
mhm.
reality is, she came from a time when we were just far more unkind as people. And
Wow.
Brandy can also speak to that as someone who was an artist who has seen those headlines about her over the years. And so I really wanted to do a cultural study of this woman. And that means having to cover all of it. And it really is, I think one of the biggest misunderstandings about this title is Whitney did have it all, right? And it's like, no, 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 no. That didn't we are the we. Understand we are the we
Yes.
because we stopped her from so much. We judged her for
Mhm.
so much. We crucified her for
Yeah, we
so
did.
much. And so I wanted to have a moment to reflect that, but also to celebrate her and to celebrate how far we've come as people. And hopefully never do this to anybody else.
That was so well said. That's so well said.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm still trying to get
Wow.
through these
It's,
questions.
yeah,
Um,
I won't even go look because I can just see the ticker, and I'm like, oh, that's too many for me to be scrolling through.
People are gonna love this book. They're gonna love this book.
yeah, let me go ahead and ask. A couple people are asking Brandy, what was your favorite moment with Whitney, or what was your favorite piece of advice she gave you?
Oh, I've had so many great moments with Whitney. One of the best things she ever told me, advice, is to just be myself. That's enough. Like, don't let people change you. Like that was her main thing with me, is to be you. Nobody can be you but you. And that stuck with me, because I struggle with that. When you start young, you struggle with identity and you don't know who you are. Everybody telling you who you are, and so that was important for her, for me, for her to know that being me was enough, and find out who that is, and stick with yourself.
Nice.
Yeah.
This one is for Gerrick, and Brandy, you can chime in too. People are
Mhm.
curious of how Gerrick approached you for the foreword. So
Well, Gerrick knows me. He's been, like he's been writing, about me and for such a long time. And like I said, early on, I completely trusted him. He's always just had my best interest, my family's best interest. And he expressed his love for Whitney to me. And I have a Whitney radar. I know when somebody ain't about that Whitney life, and he's about it. And I knew that he would, like I said, hold her in the highest light. And I just wanted to be a part of that. And this is the only book I'm a part of.
Yeah. And I to fill in, when this happened, I was actually we were sitting together. I was doing a long oral history of verses, and one of my favorite days of lockdown was seeing Brandy and Monica together, and just amazing celebration of these two women who are friends and who love each other and who have made great records together and like have grown up together and just all of that. And it was so, I mean, it was emotional for me to see it, but it was also incredible to see the two of you get the world watching you. And I mean, more people watch that than they watched Grammys or the VMAs or all this. And it was just this moment where it was like, for those of us who have been rolling with, Brandy for a long time, it was a sense of validation of like, yes, people want to celebrate, people want to, have a moment, with the two of them also and celebrate both of their greatness. But for me being, a Whitney person, it's just like, look at her two babies right there. You know what I mean? Like look at this moment,
sure.
and, what they share together. It just
Monica was
really
also
great.
at the game.
Yeah.
She congratulated me at the national anthem. So it's like all
comes back around.
It does. Over and over and over. Yeah.
So there are some writing questions in here, but I think do you have any tips for people writing? But also I noticed during this conversation, it sounds like you have really good journalistic integrity.
For sure.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that too, especially since you write about music and celebrity?
Yeah. I mean, I have wanted to be a journalist my entire life. It's all I ever wanted to do. It was when I found out that like one, it was a job that you could get paid for, I thought it was kind of crazy. But my grandfather actually, he used to, I'm trying to not get choked up. He would, sorry.
You're okay.
Because I know he's looking at me, just like, oh my God, you did it. But he would, give me, first he would make me read just straight hard news and was like, none of it's real, people are lying and you have to like be able to tear it apart and criticize it. So it was his way of being like, I want you to be looking at the world in a particular kind of way. He had a bunch of conspiracy theories and the like, which, is just kind of like culturally, we know some of our elders, they could think a certain kind of way, but he knew that I also really liked music. But like, he would only go get me like Black Beat and Word Up when I got straight A's, or if I was homesick. That was like the treat. Other than that, it was Newsweek, it was Time, it was the newspaper every single day. But no, I've been doing this my entire life. I was at student newspapers. I interned at lots of places, including the LA Times, where I then worked for 10 years, the first 10 years of my career. So it's always been my wheelhouse, journalism and especially music journalism. But I got a really quick and aggressive sort of education on celebrity coverage and like what that means. On my 4th day at the paper, I was an intern and Michael Jackson passed away. So being thrown into that coverage right there, and you have to do the thing of like, oh, are you a fan? And I'm like, I mean, I like his music like everybody else, because I didn't want to like not get an assignment because they think you couldn't handle it. But I most certainly left the newsroom. I called my mom, told her that he had just died. And it was, this was this was
Oh,
obviously TMZ, but we weren't on Twitter all like that or things like that. So
Right.
she's like, "What are you saying?" And I'm like, "I have to go to the Walk of Fame, which I didn't even know where it was at because I had only lived in LA for a week at that point. So I'm rushing my way there. And, that really was kind of the start of me learning the ropes of celebrity coverage. But also, it was, I had consumed it for so long that I never really saw the toll that it took on people. It wasn't until I started
mm-hmm,
interviewing artists and they would tell you, you know what I mean? They actually just tell you like, yeah, I don't like when people ask about this or this. And I get it because I think there's a way to be critical, but also be fair. I also think there's a way to do all of that and still have respect for people as humans. So, I've always been someone where, you know, personal life, there's parts of it that will be interesting because of what the story is. But there's also moments where, you have to make a decision of like, well, am I gonna, get into that? Or how many times, if I'm gonna interview Brandy, how many times do I have to ask about this? Like, I don't,
mm-hmm.
because it's been answered, she's answered it. There's just certain things that, and not everybody follows this, to be clear. Not everybody has these same sorts of ethics or things like that. But to me, I've always been about, I want to bring people with me as I write these stories. I want people to sort of
Yeah,
feel a connection to these people. So it doesn't really matter how much I feel personally about someone like that. It certainly helps, but I'm always been somebody who I am in service of the story. What's going to
yeah.
be the story that matters? What's going to be the story that resonates with people? And it usually it's tied to the music, it's tied to the film they've done, it's tied to the show, because there's ways to grab out these other things and they can share these things. And it doesn't have to just be every question is, I'm trying to get you, I'm trying to catch you, I'm trying to catch you, because there's moments where people reveal themselves if they feel comfortable, but also if they don't feel comfortable, there's ways to just ask somebody a question and get what you were trying to get or what you were looking for without um I think violating them as a
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
human being.
That was a great answer to that question.
Yeah.
Um,
He's brilliant. Yeah,
Brady just called me brilliant
you
on the second day of his
are.
book tour. So like, I mean, I just don't even know what else to say, you know?
You are, child.
our next question is from Nick Nelson. They say they love you both. Do
Oh,
either of you have a favorite live performance from Whitney aside from the national anthem?
mm.
Oh my God, the entire Welcome Home Heroes, the entire show,
Right?
the
Right?
end from top
Right?
to bottom.
I need HBO to like play it again, put it back on TV. I mean, I
They
know where to go
need
find it
to
online and I
play it
watch it
again.
all the time, but like
That
that show, woo wee.
changed my whole life. And I was a child at the time. So my life changed as a child many a time with Whitney, with that Welcome Home Heroes. Oh my God.
Another anonymous attendee.
I
They're
never seen
asking Brandy, but I'm going to extend it to Gerrick. Other than Cinderella, what is your favorite Whitney movie?
Oh.
Oh, oh, I love that question. So, I mean, and Brandy's saying The Bodyguard, and the book opens with me writing about falling in love with Whitney, watching The Bodyguard as a small
Mhm.
child, and it was in the
See?
Raggedy Dollar Show Theater in Cincinnati. So it's forever, forever, forever The Bodyguard. But I mean, the way that Waiting to Excel and just that soundtrack, I didn't ask you anything
Oh.
specifically about the soundtrack, but just the soundtrack and that moment of seeing her bring along the women who inspired her, but also the
Wow.
women under her. And that is powerful. There's something so phenomenal about that. And just obviously, sitting up in my room is, I mean, my goodness, legendary, and Babyface, legendary. But there was something about that and that symbolism of sisterhood, which was so important to Whitney, that I thought was so beautiful. So it
Yeah.
really is, The Bodyguard is the real answer. But Waiting to Excel was just so
And
special in a certain
yeah.
kind of way.
Yeah, you're right. I agree.
I can't find the question now, but I know it's still in here. I'm sorry to the person who is asking it. I don't know your name, but they asked Brandy, did you read Gerrick's book before you wrote the foreword?
Ooh,
I didn't.
no, and I have to chime in to say because I had like 3 chapters finished, and I was like, "Do you want to do you want to read it before you do it?" And she was like, "No, I'm gonna just do it." And I was like, "Oh, so it's full trust. Like, there could be a part that she don't know where it's like, I mean, maybe he might, have some weird thing or whatever, but it wasn't. That wasn't the case, but of course, obviously once, the forward was in, sent her everything, which just felt bizarre emailing you a draft of this book, which is wild. But yeah, that I know the answer for that for sure because I was like when I asked, and I knew I was doing such a big ask, but I was just like, okay, if she asked to read the whole thing, I'm not gonna lie, but I also ain't got this thing finished written yet.
No, I just like I said, I know you, and I know how much you love Whitney, and I hadn't met anyone that had the same kind of. I don't think anybody can love her as much as I do, but I think you come close. You do. You come close. You wrote a whole book.
I wrote a whole book. A whole book.
A whole book, and it's. I'm just so happy for you, and I'm happy for Whitney, and I'm happy for all of us who need this. We need this.
We need this.
We need
We
this.
need this. And I wrote it for us. And that's
for
the hard
us. Yes.
It's like, I want people to know, like, yeah, I want to bring you all along. But this starts with my people first because
Yes.
we needed this. And I really thought, this was a moment for us to heal. But I also thought this was a nice moment of sort of I don't know, emotional justice for Whitney. This sort of like apology from all of us to her and this other
Yes.
character too.
And it's here, and it's never gonna go anywhere. And so whoever puts anything else out, or what we always have, didn't we almost have it all to come back to? We always have that. You know what I mean? Like that's so amazing. That's a miracle.
Kyle Ramsey asks, Gerrick, super proud and excited for this project. What part in writing this project was the most challenging? As a school leader in Newark, ironically steps away from New Hope, I am on the front lines to uplift the community she came from.
Wow.
It's interesting. I was trying to unpack so much and operate through so many threads. And so writing about Newark and the decline of Black American cities and like how that greatly impacted Whitney's upbringing. Those are moments where I was able to reflect on something bigger than just like, one person's story. This was very much the story of lots of Black folks from cities, across the country. And so there were those moments that it was tough because it's like, okay, you have to also make this be something that people understand and like gonna go in this like very long journey from writing about white flight and the Great Migration and bringing it all the way to The Wiz and Home and Whitney standing there singing that on the Merv Griffin show, and it was just like, are you doing too much? Are you reaching too many things? Are you trying to carry too many things? So those are parts that were challenging and really rewarding, but I think the hardest obviously was having to revisit that weekend, revisit, sort of the personal part of it that as a journalist, you don't want to be the story ever. You don't want to be the source ever. And there is a burden I had with this is one of the last people to see her alive, and it's never something that I like to say, but it's just what happened. So that had its own heaviness to it that I just thought, okay, if I can get past that, everything else, will come into place, no matter how challenging it is, because it's, the rest of it is just like intellectual thought, which is like, great, I can have that challenge. But this other part was having to deal with just a little bit of sadness. That's just gonna always be there.
Yeah.
All right, I'm trying to figure out what's going to be our like last
The last question.
Actually, yes. What do you all want people to like understand about Whitney Houston from both both you and Brandy?
Oof.
I would like to say that Whitney Houston was an angel, and she came to this planet to bless us in ways that we never truly could really understand. Her voice did things that we just have no clue that it's done, especially to someone like me. Like I don't know what else to say about it.
Yeah.
That's
I think you say it best because I really thank you so much for sharing all of this time and everything.
Thank you. I just wish I had more words,
I
better
still want
words.
Brandy to have the last word, so I'm going to read the last word. She has inspired generations of little girls all over the world to sing from their heart and guts. That was her magic, and that's her legacy. And we'll never see another Whitney Houston. No other way to put it, No other way to put it.
We won't ever.
Yeah.
And thank you for everything with this book.
Thank you a million. This was so special.
So special.
So special. Feels surreal that it's here and now we're here
Mm-hmm.
and that it's out to the world, but it is. And this was incredible. It's so much fun.
Yes.
So much fun speaking with you.
Thank you, Politics and Prose, too. Thank you guys for having us. We love you guys. And everybody that joined in and chatted with us, we appreciate you.
Yes, and go out and get the book. It's out.
Yes,
Go tell all your friends, all your Whitney friends, all your Brandy friends, all your GK fans, everybody.
Yes.
Love you guys.
Thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
Gerrick, I'm so glad I scrolled past your book cover on Instagram, and now we have this event. Brandy, I'm so grateful for you being here as well. Like everybody else, been watching you since a child. Thank you to the lively audience. It is not, we don't always get like such a interactive audience. So thank you for watching and asking your questions.
Thank y'all.
To all of them. Please buy Gerrick's book, From Politics and Prose. The link is in the chat. We have book plates that Gerrick signed and sent to us from LA. And thank you all for being here and have a great evening.
Yes.
Yes.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.